Hey, legal nurse rock stars. It's Janice Dolnick with legalnursesrock.com. And in today's video, I actually want to share my journey and tell you how I became a legal nurse consultant and found my way from the ICU into the wonderful legal world. So stay tuned. All right, rock stars, welcome back. Again, my name is Janice Dolnick with legalnursesrock.com. If you're here for the first time, you definitely want to click the subscribe button so that you can get updates on all of our legal nurse consulting business tips and tricks to help you build a successful legal nurse consulting business from home. So in this episode, I just want to share a bit about my journey, who I was prior to becoming a legal nurse and what I did and how I found my way into this crazy world that I love so much. So to give you a bit of a background, I started my journey in the nursing world first as a CNA, went back, got my LVN, then went back and got my RN, went back and got my bachelor's, and then after that, I became a legal nurse consultant. So I had my fair share of seeing the hospital from multiple different angles, I guess, if you will. And I first originally started out in the rehab department, in a pediatric rehab department as an LVN and a CNA, and absolutely loved my job, you guys. It was the best job ever. It still has my heart to this day. It's one of my favorite positions as an RN. Moved from there. Once I got my RN degree, I did move on into the neonatal ICU, so the NICU, and did that for about a year and wanted to really expand my knowledge. So I started working in the float pool, in the PICU, the NICU, and the pediatric ER department. So I loved getting the opportunity to go to somewhere different every single day. I was very antsy. I was very eager and antsy to do as much as I could and see as much as I could and get my hands dirty as often as I could as a new and excited RN graduate. And so after a few years of doing that, again, I just don't sit still well. I decided I would look into travel nursing. So I ended up getting a couple different gigs all over the country. I also got to go to Haiti with the Children's Hospital out of Chicago in 2010, which was really incredible to do kind of that mass triage. It was really a devastating time. And to be a part of that was just incredible, to be a part of a pediatric team going over to Haiti and taking care of those kids. And we saw a lot of crush injuries and a lot of death and just a lot of dehydration and sick people. And that really shaped my career and really changed who I was as a nurse. I came back from Haiti just as a completely different person and started just viewing, the healthcare system in a whole different way. I was, I think I had a bit of culture shock. I had no idea, what a third world country didn't have access to. And if you've ever done any type of medical across, overseas or in a third world country, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. You come back with this just like culture shock of, oh my gosh. We're so lucky with what we have in healthcare, yet there's so much that needs to be improved upon. And so I was seeing things in the hospital that I didn't like from a nursing perspective. And then I was also seeing things from a patient perspective that I didn't, I was looking at the patients going, wow, this is not care I would want to get if I was a patient. And then I was seeing things as a nurse going, wow, this isn't how nurses and doctors should be treated. And so there were all these things I just didn't like that I was seeing. And so I started researching lawyer nurse, like, is there a transition that I could make from nursing to becoming a lawyer? Is that really what I want to do? Is there a way to advocate, for patients and for nurses and doctors? Like, I was trying to find this happy medium, and I was also missing out on having a bit of a life, I was realizing, and I think Haiti taught me this too, just how important and precious life is, that I was working a lot and I was not happy. I loved being a nurse, don't get me wrong, and I'm sure if you're watching this video, you probably know exactly what I feel, where you just like love nursing so much and it's so who you are, but you're also missing just a little piece. There's something missing, and that piece that I was missing was that freedom to really get to go and do what I want when I want. And you can see how I was just from being a travel nurse, right? I don't sit down very long for very well. Wait, I don't sit for very well. I can't even talk. I don't sit still for very long. Very well. There we go. And so I was really just looking for a better way to maybe manage my career and take what I had learned as a nurse and utilize it in a whole new way that maybe wasn't very well known, wasn't very popular. A lot of people weren't doing. And I kind of stumbled somewhere in a Google search on legal nurse consulting. I found a program and I dove right in. I took 2 weeks off of work with my vacation and I went away. I took a 2-week course, learned how to start a legal nurse consulting business, and I was off. I came back, and within about 3 months, I landed my first attorney client. And I talk about this story in some of my other videos, but I did it all wrong. And that's now why we have our own program to show you how to do it right, how to write those reports right. But, what I learned in the process of, helping these attorneys, meeting clients, their clients, was that there is such a need in this field for nurses. And we've really kind of paved the way for a lot of other nurses to have the same success that we've had, because we've been out there in the trenches literally since 2009. I went door to door, you guys, building my legal nurse consulting business in the dead of winter in Chicago, door to door, getting turned away. Doing my first report, making the biggest mistakes that nobody tells you about in like any program you go through. It's not black and white. And I think a lot of programs out there sell it as, here's a template, do this. And it's not plug and play. Unfortunately, it would be nice if it was plug and play and it was the same for every single attorney, but we have different attorney clients. We have different levels of knowledge for them as far as, medicine goes. And so no two reports are created equal. And so, we've learned along the way how to really develop good relationships with our attorney clients, develop really great work product. And it's been through a lot of trial and error. So when I first started this journey as a legal nurse, I had to work full time, which most of you, if you're looking at starting a legal nurse consulting business, you will have to work full time. It's not very often that people get to just quit their job and dive into legal nurse consulting full time. As you're building a business, you're gonna probably still be working full time. I worked full time, and on my lunch breaks, you guys, I was in the cafeteria with headphones studying business material. Like, how do I market? How do I get this off the ground? How do I get more clients? The ultimate goal was to leave the hospital permanently, but it's not an overnight success typically. And so I was studying late hours, early mornings at the hospital at 3 a.m. on my lunch break, on a night shift. I would be studying and learning and constantly feeding my brain more and more information to become the very best legal nurse consultant and business owner that I could be. After about, it was a couple years, I was able to go part-time. And that part-time, cutting down one 12-hour shift, preach it. I'm sure if you've ever gone from 3 to 2, it's like life-changing, right? I mean, it is I don't know why cutting down one 12-hour shift changes the world, but it really does. And I remember going, oh my gosh, I felt like I had so much more freedom when I cut down to 12 hours a week. It felt incredible. Like, it was like the best feeling ever. I just felt like this is freedom. And I loved that I was able to do more, and I was making more money with my legal nurse consulting business. And slowly over time, I was able to cut back to per diem. And eventually it was like, oh my gosh, this is so full time. I need to hire more nurses to help me. I get to finally leave the hospital. And so that was my journey over the course of 12 years, you guys, 12 years. And so what I want to share is this business absolutely works, but you absolutely have to work it, if that makes sense. You have to put your head down and know this is a long-term commitment that I'm making to myself, and I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna quit until I'm there. We get so many nurses that will come in and be like, I did that, I tried that, and they did it for a few months, maybe even a few years, and didn't have success. We didn't have really big success until about 6 years into business. I practiced by myself for 6 years until finally we gained this momentum of all 6 years of marketing and all 6 years of putting my information out there and all 6 years of like hitting the pavement. It finally came back. And finally these attorneys, from 2, 3, 4 years prior were reaching out saying, hey, we need you. And so this is a long-term commitment that you make when you're going into it. I just want you to be aware, because I do see, things are sold almost as if it's an overnight success, and it's not. It's working it, in the afternoons and in the evenings and on your lunch breaks, and it's really being committed to it when it doesn't feel like you're making any forward progress, and not giving up. But eventually it all catches up to you. And that's what's so amazing, is it's really afforded me this incredible lifestyle where I have multiple nurses that work for me, and I've been able to help them have incredible lifestyles. And we've been able to do so much more and help other nurses learn how to do and build a legal nurse consulting business from home. And they're actually doing it a lot faster than I did it, because I share all of the secrets of what you should not do and what you should do that probably saves and shaves off a good 6 years for a lot of these nurses. Because I didn't have that. I didn't have that hand-holding when I was first starting. It was really just me going out there. I'd taken a really in-depth, very expensive program, but it wasn't enough real-world hand-holding to get me to where I needed to be. And so that's what we've done, is we've created that for our nurses. Like, hey, we've been there, done that. Let's show you how to shave off a bunch of years and start having success a lot sooner than you would if you were out there trying to figure it out on your own. So that's really my journey. I do get a lot of nurses that will reach out and say, hey, I'm a NICU nurse. Can I do this? Like, am I too specialized? That's the thing about legal nurse consulting, and I think it's a common misconception that you have to have. Like, it's funny. Most people will come in and they'll think, well, they have to have a specialty like adult ICU in order to have success. Or people come in and they think they don't have enough experience. And being, a NICU nurse has not affected my ability to be a really great legal nurse consultant. And we do a lot of personal injury claims. We do a lot of behind the scenes work. If I was an expert witness, so there's really 2 roles you can be as a legal nurse, and I'll just address those here in this video because that's confusing to people too. You can be an expert witness or a behind the scenes expert, essentially. An expert witness is somebody that goes to deposition. They go to trial. They're the face, they're the ones the jury is looking at, the ones the lawyers are looking at. It's very different than working behind the scenes, where you create these reports that only your attorney client sees. They only go to your attorney, and you're educating the attorney on the facts of the case. You can do that as a registered nurse. You can look at medical records and tell them exactly what happened in those medical records. And it doesn't matter your background or specialty, except there are some things I don't even look at, like OB. I would never attempt an OB case. I just move that on over to one of my nurses with OB experience and let them do it. There are some specialties I don't even tread on at all, but something like a dog bite, a slip and fall, a motor vehicle accident. That's stuff you can do as a registered nurse. You know how to read those EMT records. You know how to read that police report. You know how to read those ER documents when they first got admitted, through the ER into the hospital. So there is so much out there. You guys, think about the amount of lawsuits that happen on the daily. There are so many lawsuits. So there is a really big need for legal nurse consultants, and I'm really hoping that we create this space, and we're creating, as we teach and train our nurses to use more social media to grow their behind the scenes LNC business, that attorneys are seeing us more and they're realizing the value we bring to the table, and they start to adopt the idea that having a legal nurse on their team is so crucial to their success. We have so many amazing testimonies of lawyers saying to us, I really believe I got the max amount settlement because of your report. There's a lot of really great things that nurses bring to the table. And so if you're excited about this field of nursing, if you just want to learn a little bit more about it, I really encourage that you hop on over to legalnursesrock.com. You can watch our video. It's a free video. It's called The Legal Nurse Roadmap to Success. We created this because there really isn't anything out there that just outlines exactly what you should do, shouldn't do, and helps handhold you through the process. And we really wanted to streamline it and make it easy for nurses who are looking at getting started in this field at an affordable rate. So head on over to legalnursesrock.com, you guys. That is my story. That is how I began my journey. And it's been a really wonderful business. And yeah, I'm excited for you. I hope you're just excited as I am. All right, everyone. Make sure you subscribe. Please subscribe so that you get all the updates for every new video we post every single Tuesday to help you grow your LNC business to success. I'll see you all on the next episode.